Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. Cory here. And today's video is going to be a little bit different because I have two purposes to this video and they go hand in hand. And I was recently inspired by the lovely Avalon Cameron to add the second piece to this video, which makes sense because it goes hand in hand with the first piece, and I'll explain here in a moment. But she did a wonderful and lovely preparing your magical year video. And this isn't really like a video response to that. This is just kind of inspired by. However, this first piece is something I've been contemplating for a long time. A few months now, well before Avalon posted her video. But what I'm getting to is that I want 2018 to look a little different for my channel. I still want to bring you guys tarot unboxings, okay? I still want to share with you my magical and wonderful witchy monthly favorites. And I still want to do LRP doTERRA order unboxings for you. That's not going to change. But what I would like to do is a new series, if you will. I do videos where we talk about different metaphysical topics and practices, and we talk about tools. But what I would like to do, and what I feel I'm being called to do, is give you guys a glimpse, not pull you into, but show you a bit more of my personal spiritual practice. Not all the personal details, but show you kind of a bit of an insight into another Wiccan's practice. So I kind of want to do almost a series where I do monthly check-ins with you and we look at a year in the life of a Wiccan. I know some of you are like, wait, what? I thought there was a whole secrecy thing. Let me get to that. So I won't be filming a ritual and posting it online or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be like, here's, this spell that I did exactly verbatim, and no. But what I would like to do is come on here and talk to you guys about what I'm reading, some topics that I'm personally studying, because I'm a perpetual student. In January every year, I sit down and I do exactly what Avalon had mentioned in that video, kind of preparing your magical year. And I sit down and I map out books that I want to read, spiritual books, metaphysical books on magic, actual witchcraft, divination, working with goddesses, different aspects of someone's spiritual practice. I also sit down and look at tarot decks that I want to use seasonally. I look at switching things up, items that I want to incorporate, different things that I want to do, planning out time to spend with my coven, and I look at those calls and making sure I know when all the SBATs are and whether or not some of the Sabbats fall during the week, and planning my family rituals on the weekend and seeing where that's going to coincide and make sure I'm not overlapping with somebody's birthday and things of that nature. And I want to share those parts with you, where each month I do a recap, not a vlog, but where we sit down and we chit chat and, like girlfriends. I sit here and I share with you guys, okay, Like, keeping on track with my stuff was a struggle, or I had such a good time learning this. There were 2 times during the month where I was able to do tea leaf readings, or I found this new oil that I incorporated into my meditation practice, and it did wonders for me in this area. Or, hey, I was working with this deity and they have a really amazing energy, and I want to recommend to you guys working with them and how you could potentially work with them. In more of a general overview scope, share with you books that I'm reading, share with you, what kind of occurred for me over the span over that month, and just give you a bit more insight, because especially for those of you who aren't on this path or who are starting out on this path, maybe you're just really kind of dipping your toes into spirituality right now, or you're sitting here wondering if this whole Wiccan thing is for you, or maybe you're really interested in learning more about how to work with goddess energy. I kind of want to share with you, okay, here is some of the things that can happen, and what generally occurs in the life of someone who is balancing all of these things. My day job is a corporate setting. I'm a compliance analyst and deal with attorneys all day. I sit in an office. I sit at a computer. I'm looking at legislature. I am looking at policies and procedures. Half the time I'm writing those policies and procedures myself. So I am an office witch. And I'm also the mother of a 6-year-old, almost 6-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And I'm a wife, and I have that relationship. And I'm actually married to a Christian, so I'm trying to manage a dual faith household. We have a dog, we have a cat that we have to take care of. We have a lot of other family obligations. There's so much of my life that is very muggle and very mundane, and where I'm sitting here trying to coordinate oil changes and making sure I pay the cell phone bill on time, and doing all these things in addition to the crystals and essential oils and tarot work that you see on this channel. So I want to share that with you of, yes, you can have a really fulfilling spiritual practice in and around all of this stuff, but it doesn't always look pretty. I'm not sitting here in a robe casting 24/7. This isn't, my life isn't that of Harry Potter. I wish it was. My Hogwarts letter got lost in the mail. But it's still very magical. And I do want to share that with you, looking at the magical and the mundane and the marriage of the two and how that works in the life of a 32-year-old who has been practicing witchcraft and studying witchcraft for almost 18 years and has been a dedicated Wiccan for 17. So, it's a very long introduction to this video. But y'all know me, I like to talk. So that's kind of the first part of this. It's something that's been percolating a while. It's something that I wanted to introduce to you guys, get to know your thoughts on it. Is this something that would interest you? For one, is it even worth it for me to do these videos for you? Or are you just like, we don't care. Bring on the tarot unboxings. Because I can stop the series at any time as well, if you're just like not into it. But to kick it off, and inspired by Avalon's video, in this first step, because obviously we haven't gone a month into 2018 yet for me to be able to give you a recap, I wanted to talk to you about what I've done so far in way of planning and what my spiritual goals are for 2018. So let's get started here. I have quite a few things in front of me, so we'll see how this goes. First of all, one of the things that I want to recommend to you guys, if you're going to be mapping out your spiritual goals and your magical practice, is getting a really good planner or date book. Pardon me, I'm so sorry. Is that you want to get yourself a really good planner. Now, this doesn't have to be a metaphysical one, but having a metaphysical planner helps, okay? Because you want one that has the moon phases on it so that you're able to plan your SBATs. And if you do intention setting on the new moon, if you do full moon ceremonies, etc., you'll want to plan around those. So you'll want to know what's coming up. The first one that I have and that I've been using so far, just in the last few days, is the Coloring Book of Shadows magical planner, okay? And so, or Planner for a Magical 2018, and this is by Amy Cesari. And I do have the Coloring Book of Shadows over on my bookshelf. So that's going to be one goal, is going through that. But I grabbed this one at the same time because I was like, ooh, I love to color, and this is a metaphysical planner. So normally I get Llewellyn's Witch's Daybook, and I'm a dork, and I didn't pull it out for me to be able to show you. However, that is another really good option. That's something that I have been using for years, since probably 2008 or 2009 is when I started using those. Before then, I was just like, it's Spiral Notebook. We'll Google the moon phases. So this is what I have been using. And so far, I'm just kind of, mapping things out in pencil. And it does have, the monthly calendar, and then we have lines for dates. And so some of the things that I've been listing on here are my card pull, just my daily energy draw. I have been recording other things like, these YouTube videos. I am doing, as you've been seeing on my channel, the 31 Days of Tarot. And I also map out a lot of my other magical workings. Like if there's a specific day where I want to make protection charms for the kids, I'll write that down. Or if there's a specific day that I want to do herb gathering or focus on anointing candles for the upcoming Sabbath, things like that, I'll write that down. Usually this time of year in January, things that I'm focusing on are physically and energetically clearing the house, going room by room, clearing it, energetically cleansing the room. Now there's a couple ways that I do this. You can do it with smudge sticks. My family is a little bit more sensitive to smoke than I am, so incense and sage bundles just have not been a good choice for my family, my husband and my little ones in particular. So I'll use a very light aura spray. I use this one in this room because this is, my area. And then for the rest of the house, I use either a pendulum or a singing bowl. If I'm doing it late at night, I use the pendulum. Otherwise, I do like the tone and the energy that comes from this singing bowl in particular. So this is the one that I use. Pendulums are just a really good choice when you obviously want something unscented and doesn't make noise to wake up little ones. Pendulums are just perfect for that. But for big jobs like this, sound really works. The kids really like it when I use my drum, so I will on occasion use that as well. And we just do a full house clearing. And then what I do is every January, I also reinforce the protection spells that I have on our home. And that's just kind of, that's been our tradition ever since we were even in an apartment. It's become more cumbersome since we have a house that we have to do it for now. But it's still something that I like to do and something that I feel is needed specifically for our family. And Jason and the kids participate, so it becomes a big family ordeal. And so that's just something that we do. So all of those items, you know, you can map out in here. You can also map out books that you're going to read. I've started writing out a book list in the columns. There are some extra pages here at the very end that look like they'll be perfect for just general planning throughout the entire year. And so this is one option. I mentioned Llewellyn's Witch's Date Book is a second option. Third option, and I did pick this up for the first time this year, is the Wombyn 2018 La Luna Planner. And this has, just like the Llewellyn's Witch's Daybook and this magical planner, have a lot of really good, you know, information in here, Sabbath information, seasonal information, recommendations. This one has some amazing poetry in it. Oh my goodness. And just the artwork has been stunning to flip through. Just like the other ones, this also has moon phases, void of course, you know, Mercury retrogrades, etc. However, we have, I believe it just has, it doesn't have lines for its days, and I didn't see months. Let me go back and make sure I didn't just miss the page. But it doesn't have like a month view. It just has the days in a weekly format. So, you know, that's something to consider as well. Ton of information in here, a lot of astrological information. They have the moon phases in charts in the back as well, in several different ways. Like, I get that this is the La Luna book, but I'm like, even that's kind of overkill, in my opinion. But, you know, teach their own, whatever trips your trigger, right? In addition to that, I don't have it physically with me because I was late. I ordered it early in the month, but you guys know that I've been laid up with the flu for a few weeks. So I didn't get around to getting it printed by Lulu Publishing until just a couple days ago. So I'm waiting for it to show up in the mail. But that is Annabelle Wen's Metaphysician's Planner. It is stunning. I will link it below where you can order it. She will, if you give her the information, she will incorporate your birth chart into the planner. What this is you get the PDF file of the planner, and then you can go and get it printed yourself from a publisher like Lulu, which she's actually formatted it specifically for printing from them. And it's only a few bucks. I think it cost me like $9 maybe to get it printed, which is a really good deal for the amount of information that you're getting. Obviously, you do need to pay for the planner from Annabelle, and I believe it's $25. which the amount of information that comes through this, I mean, this planner would cost probably about $60 purchased from anybody else. Like, she packed a lot in here. It is fantastic, and I can't wait to have it in my hot little hands. So getting a good planner, like one of the ones that I suggested, is going to be a good foundation for you to just kind of map out some of the things that you want to look at. I highly recommend do what I did. Learn the hard way. You guys, this is from experience. I've fucked up a lot in the last 17 years of my practice. Learn from my mistakes. My typical mom fashion. Write everything out in pencil first. And maybe even keep it that way until after it occurs, and then you can go back and write it in ink, because otherwise it's just going to cause you a headache later, having to scratch stuff out and do whiteout on your magical journals. It's like, it kind of fucks with the energy a little bit. And in fact, I have a brand new set of colored pencils that I'm using just for these journals here, or these planners. Something else to consider if you're just using a regular date book, which is perfectly fine, absolutely. But get sort of a metaphysical almanac to accompany that, or some other form of information. So here are some of the items I've used over the years that I wanted to share with you. One of those is Llewellyn Sabbath's Almanac. Now I've started purchasing these in digital format. I really miss having the hard copies though, but I'm running out of room on my bookshelves because there are just so many almanacs, you guys, so many. This one in particular collates with the Sabbats. So you do have articles and recipes, incense recipes, actual food recipes for magical foods, meditations, even rituals, all in here, history, mythology, all in here for each of the Sabbats. There's, some herbal lore here, different astrological information in and around that particular Sabbat. So there's just a lot of good stuff, but this is Sabbat specific. So if maybe this is your first couple turns of actually following the Wheel of the Year, highly recommend grabbing one of these, because it's going to walk through stuff for you that you don't necessarily have to come up with on your own. And the first couple times around, following somebody else's recipe and format for spell work, it just makes your life easier. It takes the guesswork out. You literally have the book in front of you. You follow it. Obviously, you can use substitutions. It's your magic, right? But having a template to work off of is really handy. Another one is Llewellyn's actual magical almanac. And this was last year's. Now, this one has, again, rituals, articles, different techniques, tools to use, a lot of really good information here about working with deity, again, guided meditations, suggestions for your own spiritual path. And then in the very center here, we actually have, we have the Sabbats and full moons in the northern hemisphere, and then flip side Sabbat dates in the southern hemisphere. We also then in the center go into weekly days, and we have moon phase information in here as well. So you can get a regular planner and then use something like this and then write in all of your full moons or whatever phases that you need to know about in your workings. We also have the astrological houses that the moons are in, incense and color associations for that day. And also, obviously, major holidays, including international ones. And that goes all the way through the year. We've got water magic in this one. And it's something new every year. You're not going to get the same articles every year, which is why I have so many copies of these. There's new information and a lot of author contributions in here. So another really good thing to consider about purchasing one of these is that if there's an author that you've been wanting to try, but you don't want to invest $20 in their book quite yet because you're not quite sure whether or not you're going to be a good fit with their writing style, getting something like this, you're able to sample that author's work before you go out and buy one of their full published works, which is kind of a nice thing to do. I've been introduced to a lot of fantastic pagan writers through these almanacs. We also have Llewellyn's, which is Spell-a-Day almanac. Okay, so this one, it's an old copy, sorry guys, but I couldn't find one of my newer ones laying around here. So we have each day laid out, and it really is. It's literally a spell a day. Okay, so we've got spells. We have general information about the energy of the month. We've got moon phases as well, astrological, vorticor. So all of that information is also in here for reference, and then spaces for notes as well. So this one is pretty handy, but it literally goes through one spell a day. And then we've got, table of contents, icons that they use because they're obviously limited on space. And then I thought that there were a couple pages in here for notes in the very back. Just a couple pages. There's a glossary of magical terms, though, if it's something new that you're not quite familiar with. The astrological symbols, what those mean, and then general correspondence information about moon phases, days of the week, etc. And lastly, again from Llewellyn, is the Witch's Companion. This one doesn't go through day information. It's not an almanac. What this is it's a companion. It's a compendium of articles. They are tied to what's happening or what will be happening that year. For example, if somebody's writing an article about, let's see, working with Ostara and that Sabbath and that energy, they'll also talk about the nearest full moon to that, or whatever astrological energy is coming up and around that day, if that makes sense. So it's specific to the year, but there's a lot of really good information on here. In this particular one, we have information about transitioning to a pagan lifestyle, lessons in kindness from the grasshopper and the ant, pagan standard time, witchy ways of eating, banishing and polarization, magic spells for kids, recognizing and combating the evil eye, a guide to smudging, creating your own magical moniker. And like I said, there's different articles each year. It's a whole sampling of several different, prolific writers in the pagan community, and they do switch it up. It's not the same guys every year. So a nice companion that you could use to help plan maybe some things to study throughout the year. Now, this one is the Witch's Almanac. This has been around for, It's been around for years. This is issue 37 for this year. And it goes spring to spring. Okay, so this is spring 2018 through 2019. And there's a lot of great articles in here as well, in addition to actual almanac. Again, with moon phases, signs, Sabbats listed, just important days. Apparently on, let's see, September 13th, there's a Ganesha festival. I've never noticed that before. So this is another great almanac alternative. You can also get some indie almanacs as well. So like this one. I have the 12 Moons workbook. This was the first half of 2016. I didn't get the second half of 2016, but I did get, looks like the first half of just been grabbing the first half of everything. First half of 2017, first half of 2016, and then I fall off the wagon. And I didn't get anything for 2018. At least not yet. So that might be something else that I grabbed this year. We'll see. And it went from 12 moons to many moons. I didn't notice that either. Okay. And this is by Modern Woman. Just as an FYI. So those are some things that can help. Some of the goals that I have in particular for me this year that I wanted to share with you, first of all, is finally getting around to working on a family book of shadows. This is going to be something that I can pass down to my children. This is going to be an heirloom item. This is going to take me years to complete. And that's okay with me. But we're going to start it this year. Now, I actually have the working book of shadows that I've had since high school. Kid you not, you guys. It even has notes from the very first Wicca 101 class that I ever took when I was like a freshman in college. Yes, I wasn't really able to take a Wicca 101 class until years into my practice, unfortunately, because most of them wouldn't allow you in if you were under 18. Nowadays, there are several one-on-one classes that you can take if you're under 18. But, I mean, I grew up in the 90s. They weren't as lenient back then. So, this is what I had. Ta-da! Ring binder. Honestly, best book of shadows you'll ever have, you guys. I have stuff in these little, paper protectors, etc. Use just regular lined paper to write notes on. And so I'm going back through this because the last few years it's just been sitting on the shelf, really. So I'm going back through that, seeing if there's anything that really helped me that I can transfer. This is the family book of shadows that we've been using so far. It's very colorful, but not very practical. It's a very small tome, and I've got a lot of personal stuff in here from when the kids were little. This was started when I was pregnant with Riley, actually, my daughter. So it's pretty old. Has some really old artwork of mine in here as well for my college days. So this is probably something that we'll still keep because this has been our working one so far and the kids still love going through it. But I will probably just be taking some things out of here and moving it over. I bought a really large hardback Book of Shadows, hardback sketchbook to use as our family Book of Shadows. And so what I have so far is a lot of sketchbooks of mine that I'm going to go through and start sketching out pages for the Book of Shadows because I do want them to be in ink and very colorful. So it's going to take a while for me to plan them out and get them right the way that I want them to look. So it's going to take a few days, maybe even a couple weeks to nail down just one page at a time. So like I said, this is a decades-long project, but 2018 is the year we're going to start it, kids. Now, as far as I go, I've filled up quite a few Book of Mirrors throughout the years. And really, this is just kind of your magical journal, if you will. I don't really refer to them as that. Mine are combined. It's a Book of Shadows / Book of Mirrors. I write rituals down in it, and then the next page I write a journal entry. There's no rhyme or reason to them. I don't have them planned or mapped out. They just are what they are. And when I need to find something, I just need to remember where I put it in the book. So this has been my personal Book of Shadows for the last 3 years. And unfortunately, boo! It's in a very sad state of affairs, as you can see. So one of the other goals that I have for 2018 is taking all of the good stuff from this and transferring it over into one of these books. So I have 3 journals here, okay? And this one is all about crystals. I've had it for a few years. It already started with crystals, so crystals, it's going to stay. Crystal healing, crystal spell work, anything and everything to do with crystals, crystal grids, all in here. These next 2, though, are going to be slightly different. So this, I'm actually going to split this year. This book is actually going to be my Book of Mirrors. Probably going to have a shit ton of shadow work in it. And then this one is going to be an actual Book of Shadows. All of the rituals, spells, recipes, etc. will go in here. Correspondences. So the information that I copy from the old tomb is pretty much going to go in here, with this one being the journal component. So for the first time ever, I'm going to be separating the 2. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. So that's one of my goals. On my blog, I will write out for you guys what my reading list for 2018 is, and I will periodically go through and update it, probably at the end of the month as I'm doing the check-in with you guys. I'll go back, look at what the reading list is, update it, cross stuff off that I've read, and maybe add stuff on there that I'm like, ooh, this came out in 2018 and I want to take a peek at it. So reading lists are going to be a big goal for 2018, working on refining my family's tradition, getting an actual Book of Shadows that my kids can copy and I can pass down to them is a big goal. Getting it started, I should say, is a big goal in 2018. And really, for the rest of it, it's just going to be continuing on a lot of the work that I started the last few years. Continuing to work with different deities. In particular, my patron god Freyr has been poking at me, very upset that I have been ignoring him and not quite working with him. He has been patient while I have just completely spent all of my time and energy on Persephone. And at this point, he's just like, nope, it's my turn. As is his right. So I'm like, okay. So I will most likely be halting a little bit of my big goddess role that I'm on for January. Not obviously stopping to work with, like not working with the goddess at all in January. She's always going to be there. But I do need to, in my own personal practice, work with Freyr this month. It's coming up. It's another thing that I'm being called to do. So that will be part of my check-in at the end of January, is just kind of how that went. Not going to give you personal details about what we worked on, just, you know, how the workings came about, will be included in that update for you guys. And then letting you know whether or not I made my next goal, which is making sure that I'm attending all of my coven ritual calls. I am part of a wonderful online coven. I will not be giving you guys any details about what we're working on to protect the coven. That's not cool. But I will let you know, because one of my goals is to make sure that I'm on the call. So I'll at least say, oh, I didn't make the call, I had to watch the replay. Or, yes, I was able to make the call, and it was wonderful. And just kind of give you that update. So I don't have anything else very specific that I want to pull in and work on. At this time, there's not a new divination system that I've been looking into, other than continuing on my essential oil journey and making sure that I cover the goals that I just stated for you. That's kind of where 2018 is headed for me. However, as we start to go through the year and do these monthly check-ins, things are going to come up where I'm going to be like, you guys, I discovered something and I have to tell you about it. Because I'm that type of person. I am definitely that person that's like, ooh, shiny. I get distracted, as you can tell by my unedited videos. And there are going to be things that come up that I'm going to want to keep space for and room for, that I can divert my attention and learn about it, and then share a little bit about it with you on this channel through these check-ins. So I've given you guys a ton of information in this video. It's gone on way longer than I had planned. I am so sorry for that. But I wanted to hop on here and talk to you guys about this journey that I feel called to take us all down. Whether or not you guys want to join me on it is really up to you. So let me know how you feel about it. This, you know, magical year in the life of a Wiccan, and whether or not you want to take this ride with me, because I would really like to share this with you. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you do want to take this journey with me, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of the check-in videos. But that is it, y'all. I'll wrap this up. You know the drill. Thank you so much for watching this video with me. And until the next video, blessed be.